Sam Amick, USA Today, NBA insider. Can you give us, first of all, thanks, Sam. What do you make of Chauncey Billups?
Colin, thanks for having me. It's a little interesting. I agree with some of kind of the way you broke it down there and the idea that maybe Chauncey has made up his mind and he's kind of waiting to share the news. I will say that, going into it and during the process, I talked to some folks who he had chatted with about the way he saw it. And two of the concerns that were on his mind, one is very obvious, the idea that LeBron could leave next summer and how that's a game changer for any executive. And then you've got the personal relationship with Ty Lue, who's a very close friend of his. And the idea that, all right, fast forward to next season, let's say the Cavs go on a slide and the media and the fans are applying a lot of pressure saying you got to look at the head coaching situation and all of a sudden you have to really be objective about a dear friend of yours. So that stuff was something he was chewing on. I was just told a few minutes ago that his decision is not expected, not likely to happen today. I kind of feel like if he's doing this, I hear what you're saying, but I feel like he'd want to jump in. They got a lot of work to do. They could buy draft picks tonight if they wanted to. You can keep looking into trades. I mean, they got a lot going on right now.
Sam Amick, USA Today, great NBA insider. Okay, let's start with the Lakers landscape. 2 days ago, I thought they were in big trouble because I thought the Cavs could trade away Kevin Love, but now we hear Indianapolis, the Pacers, don't want Kevin Love. That feels like the Lakers have a little leverage here with Paul George. Am I right, wrong?
No, I think you're right. I feel like the Lakers they're kind of walking this fascinating line right now where if there's going to be another team that comes in with a Godfather-type offer for the Pacers, then that will be a reflection of whatever level of confidence they have that if they get Paul into their program with 1 year, that they could convince him to kind of lose his love for the Lakers, you know what I mean, and not go that way next summer. But if the market is not bearing out, like to this point it's not, in terms of what the Pacers have on their table, then if you're the Lakers, you can get greedy. You can just don't give up assets. I feel like the Carmelo Anthony blueprint of yesteryear is the one they should still be paying attention to. When he got impatient, he wanted to get to New York ASAP. They gave up a boatload of assets and good players to the Nuggets. And lo and behold, Melo just never had enough help. I think a lot of those guys that got traded would have helped him. And the Lakers, let's not forget, this part always gets lost. They were 40 wins behind the Golden State Warriors last year. Like that competitive gap that they are eventually trying to bridge is so large that you cannot afford to give up any assets that you don't need to.
Yeah. It's they got Mozgov's contract off the books. They're going to get Lonzo. I mean, it feels like we knew Boston was building it. Say this for Magic. Maybe things are falling into his lap. Maybe he's doing it, but it's been exciting. Speaking of the Lakers, Phil Jackson and the Kristaps Porzingis. Listen, if the Boston came in tomorrow, Sam, and said, we'll give you the number 3 pick tonight, so I'd have the 3 and the 8. I'll give you Jaylen Brown, and I'll give you a number 1 pick next year. I'd have to consider it because Porzingis, he's a big. In the last 2 years, he's been hurt, and he's not a great defender. And so I would consider it. But Phil Jackson is so persona non grata in New York. What is your takeaway? Does he just not care?
I don't know what's going through Phil's mind. It always puzzles me because I got to know him pretty well when he was with the Lakers. And I always tell people that I've never seen something where a guy was one of the best of all time when it comes to connecting with his players, with his talent as a coach. And now in this short time in New York, he's been one of the worst of all time in that same exact department. I don't know always what his motive is. This Porzingis thing is on a different level because to an extent, Colin, I understand the acrimony between Phil and Melo because Melo's never been Phil's kind of guy.
Right.
It was a little bit like you did that contract with Melo because it was the prudent thing to do, but it was not of your doing. Kristaps is your shining moment as a Knicks executive, and the idea that it soured so quickly between him and Phil is shocking, and the ripple effect is huge. The Knicks are now, for the foreseeable future, widely seen in NBA circles as an anti-player organization. That is going to crush you in free agency. It's going to crush you every time you want to do a trade, and you got to take a pulse on whether or not that player wants to come your way. It's very damaging to sit there on your own in-house TV network and just complain about a guy that had a fantastic reputation because he skipped the exit interview. I mean, that entire situation is just a mess.
Jerry West of the Clippers. If I insinuate to you that the primary reason they got him is just to get dinner with LeBron James, how true could that be?
I think there's truth to it. I feel like it's a slight to Jerry to not start by saying he's Jerry West. He brings a lot to the table.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to portray this as if it's some gimmicky thing. Like sometimes you'll see a team will hire a particular video coordinator who grew up with a certain star player, and there's a very clear agenda there.
Right.
But Jerry's connection with LeBron is a fascinating and substantive thing, and it's both men are on record publicly extensively talking about their admiration for one another. LeBron has read Jerry's book, West by West, multiple times, at least 3. During the playoffs, he'd sit there and read it as motivation. They're kindred spirits because they've lost in the finals a lot, taken a lot of criticism. LeBron's got a nickname for Jerry, calls him the Godfather. The Clippers are definitely hoping that next summer, when LeBron looks at L.A. and they hope sees a Lakers situation that simply has too many unanswered questions, and then sees a Clippers situation where they are much farther ahead of the curve, that Jerry could be an X factor in getting him to the Clippers.
And finally, NBA draft tonight. Philly's taking Fultz. Lakers taking Lonzo. Jason Tatum, Celtics maybe. Suns have the number 4 pick. Sacramento's got the number 5. Phoenix is interesting.
For sure.
They got to start winning now. Okay, they they're like Philadelphia, but not nearly as interesting. At least Philadelphia, I can't wait to watch them play. Phoenix is just bad, and I'm not that interested in watching them play. That's a bad combination in the NBA.
Right.
Any chance Phoenix would move that 4 pick to get a player, like a current NBA guy that can really load up and play?
I think so. I mean, there's a lot of folks who are not sure they're going to keep the pick. One situation that I would love to sit down with their GM, Ryan McDonough, right now and give him a little bit of truth serum is how do you look at LaMarcus Aldridge in the here and the now? Because a couple of years ago, if you remember, Colin, LaMarcus almost went to Phoenix. And it was not very long after he went to San Antonio that you started hearing rumblings that he kind of wished he went to Phoenix. And so I think LaMarcus would love to go to Phoenix. The question is how much right now, after LaMarcus had a tough postseason, would the Suns be willing to give up to get him? And I think maybe the answer is they'd want to give something up because they have this thing right now where Eric Bledsoe is 1 foot out the door, especially if you go out and draft De'Aaron Fox. You're going to have a problem on your hand. You're going to have to move Bledsoe. Maybe you get another legit player like LaMarcus. You speed up the timeline that you're talking about. Guys like you actually want to watch the Suns play, and you've improved your situation. Yeah.
I don't love LaMarcus Aldridge. He averages.
I hear you.
He averages 19 a game. I can't remember any of them in his entire career.
Then there's the other part, right, where he, we have memories of him dropping 50-plus in Portland. I mean, he was, at one point in time, one of the most dynamic scorers in the entire league. This Spurs thing has been a tough fit.
Yeah. Good stuff. Sam Amick.